What's happening, YouTube? Welcome to the Mr. Winslow channel. I am Mr. Winslow, your host, and today we're going to be discussing a topic of prime importance, which deals primarily with child abuse. Yes, I said it, child abuse. This is something that we definitely need to put our heads together with and come up with as many solutions as possible, because the children are our future. And if we abuse the future of today, then the future of tomorrow won't be worth living, because those children who will become adults and we will become the elderly, and if we treat them bad now, it's very accurate to assume what our fates will be when they become adults. So let's get started, shall we? Number one, if we look at childhelp.com, they provide a very sobering set of statistics that we can look at and say something needs to change. 5 children die every day as a result of child abuse. Now, if we multiply 5 times 365, because that's the number of days in a year, we come up with the total of 1825. That means that we're losing 1,800 children to child abuse. What can be done to stem the tide, Mr. Winslow? We need to identify child abuse in its 3 very basic forms. Number one, there is physical abuse, and all of us are familiar with that. We have visions of a parent violently berating and beating their child with an extension cord, a water hose, etc. There is also sexual abuse, where we have parents or we have relatives that try to have sex with that child. Yes, this is something that is a reality. And last but not least, we do have psychological abuse. This is the abuse that, in my humble opinion, is far more long-lasting than physical or sexual abuse could ever be, because this is the abuse that entails beating of the mind, and this can last for a lifetime. Well, what can be done, once again, Mr. Winslow, to stem the tide of these things? I do believe that child correction is going to weigh more heavily over child abuse. For example, if a child needs to be disciplined, they can be disciplined without you putting your hands on them. Yes, they can. You can take away privileges. You can definitely have them do more chores, that kind of thing. Now, I do realize that there may come a time when the verbal talking does not work. And yes, corporal punishment may be in order. However, don't overdo it, parents. Don't overdo it. Don't beat that child senseless. Don't beat them to the point where they have scars and they have horrible welts all over their bodies. No, I'm not saying that at all. Child correction is going to win over child abuse any day. So let's just keep that in mind. When we look at the third dynamic of child abuse, which is psychological abuse, this is a very insidious form of abuse indeed. There is a YouTube video. Don't know the name of the video, but you can research it if you would like, where a reporter is talking with a Muslim girl. She could be no more than 4 or 5 years old. This Muslim girl tells the reporter that she hates Jews. She tells the reporter also that she learned in the Quran, yes, that is the Muslim holy book, that Jews are inferior, that Jews are pigs, that they are monkeys, and she hates them. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to conclude that if this little Muslim girl stays in that environment, the religious indoctrination is going to become so entrenched and is going to become so grand in her life that she is going to hate Jews altogether. She is going to train her children to hate Jews. This is something that needs to stop. Religious indoctrination, I don't care who tries to say it's good for a child. No. This type of religious indoctrination is very detrimental. This type of religious indoctrination says that your particular take on religion is true and correct, but the other interpretations are false. This needs to stop. This sets into motion an us versus them mentality which will not last. Definitely keep that off of the table. Another form of psychological child abuse comes in the form of religious indoctrination, having that child preach the gospel or preach from any form of religious belief. First and foremost, a child's thinking is going to be childlike. It is not going to be likened to an adult because a child is not an adult. Please do the math on this, true believers. I know that you want to spread the gospel unto the four corners of the earth, whatever that is, but when you take that child and you put that child before an audience of tens, twenties, thousands, millions even, that child's thinking is childlike. That child will not be able to relate to an adult. That child is not living the life that they should be living. It is appointed unto a child to live like a child because they are children. And it is appointed unto a man to live like a man, for he is a man. In closing, YouTube community, let's put our heads together and stop child abuse, because child correction is going to win the day head and shoulders above the rest over child abuse. From the Mr. Winslow Studios, peace.